And so, welcome everybody to the Alpha Navigators Cup, the Americas bracket. We are into the top 8 now, and we have on the bottom left, TheoRy, on the striking Infernal Blue, and on the red side, top right here in this secluded grove, it is his opponent, Fiction. So TheoRy is facing off against Fiction. Of course, TheoRy, well-known player in the competitive scene of Stormgate so far. He is the reigning champion of the Alpha Navigators Cup Season 0. He won multiple Alpha Navigators Cup in the past, but he had a little bit of a shaky start this season. He started out losing in 4th place in the Asia Pacific bracket earlier today, and he also came in 2nd in the European bracket. Now it is the chance that he's looking for with the Americas bracket, the one that he has an advantage over, to win it. Oh, rip Garlic. Something happened with Garlic Doge. We'll see. Oh, there we go. Yeah. We'll see here if Fiction is able to pull out something here. Fiction went 3-2 on his Swiss stage, which is very respectable. It is, of course, a Swiss bracket with only 15 players, so going 3-2 is just enough to keep advancing. And of course, it is a good opportunity to get into the top 8, to get into the best of 3 matches. This is the place where the players have the best shot at showing their skill, their adaptability, where you face a multitude of opponents and you try to gain as much as possible from the fights. We can see immediately TheoRy going for both speed camps at the same time here on that lower left side, while Fiction takes one of the speed camps and then gets away with the vision camp as well before finalizing his little farming setup. We'll see what TheoRy has been cooking up in the lab over the past few hours. He has, of course, played on every tank today, starting in APAC, Europe, and now in the Americas to close out the day. For his side, Fiction has only signed up for the Americas. He's coming to this fresh. He hasn't had any big competitive matches today. And we'll see if he can make a name for himself against a champion here. TheoRy deciding to harass the expansion, will lose one of the fiends in the process and try to sneak 2 of them. Check the speed camp, see if there is any cut through. We'll actually take the speed camp there and the 10 Therium. A little bit of a small prize, but a prize nonetheless for his aggression. And of course, the big timing here, as always, is near the 5-minute to 6-minute mark, when the Doombringers start to be out in the field. And we'll see if that gives us an edge. Sharson Tower defending the expansion is all well and good. A third now coming down from TheoRy. He's feeling confident. He wants to go up into a base advantage. His opponent doesn't know about it just yet, but he might find out soon enough. Fiends going through then, and they'll check the little third. They'll see that there is an expansion cooking up, and that the guns have been moving. 2 of the Fiends will go down, so that little force that might have been able to sneak into a Luminite line and cause a little bit of trouble will now push back. And for his part, Fiction feels like he can take a third as well. He is entitled to that privilege, given that it seems TheoRy is content to just stand back. Building up the forces and the requirements for this, the Doombringer. Getting a good number of guns up and going. There are some chunky targets. You have the Ethereum line, of course. It even has some Fellhogs that you can use to get more fiends. Another little meat farm that could provide some much needed power up for the fight, but the Vision Camp is there. It will spot the drop. Will TheoRy respond to this by dropping early? No, he'll commit to it. And there is a Shroudstone growing. The Fellhogs fall fast. The Shroudstone Tower is well under attack. The guns are continuously attacking, and now they'll pull back, but the Shroudstone Tower is so low. They risk it for the biscuit and get away mostly unchanged, mostly intact. A good number of guns are fairly low health though, so he has to be careful about that. He could lose a number of guns to something like this. A couple of fiend runs onto the back. Gets all of them up really quickly. Deals a little bit of damage to the expansion, but we'll move on from there. The imps now fall victims to a high ground gun drop. And it's now down to a few guns here. The shield is going down quickly, however, and those fiends, they pop out and they start attacking. A Shroudstone manifestation goes out as well, and now a recall. To try and keep the Doombringer alive. One of the guns will die to an infest, which is obviously not a good sight, but on 3 bases and feeling quite well, TheoRy. He will be able to expand from this and grow his units. Vision camps refresh, and Fiction decides that this is a good time to take on one. Have that vision back in case the Doombringer comes back, which it most likely will. The speed camps have also renewed, and this is a great chance for TheoRy to drop his guns and magmadons onto his opponent's base, perhaps get a few fiends. And surprisingly, Fiction is just now grabbing a Doombringer for himself. And this is one of the things that makes TheoRy dangerous. When you let him get away with Magmadon drops, with gun drops, it is the sort of thing that you don't want to see as a player, because you end up in a very precarious situation. Here comes a drop then. Onto the main? No. Onto the third. There is a Magmadon there with Trample that could kill a lot of those imps and generate the fiends necessary to win this fight. In comes the Magmadon, gets a good number of stands and fiends, but ultimately it seems like the Doombringer is going to die, and this will be a sacrifice drop from TheoRy. Damage has been dealt to his opponent economy, but not necessarily enough to justify losing the Magmadons, the guns, the Doombringers. There is a lot of pressure off the table now, but the Magmadon is doing a great job at consuming fiends just in time to maintain a very high level of white health, but this will be the end. Infest goes down to try in a desperate attempt to get a few more fiends to keep the shields up, but it will not be the case. Instead, a number of fiends from TheoRy are gonna deny the vision here, as a Magmadon drop that Fiction was doing seems to have been repelled, and now the core army of TheoRy on 3 bases, fully capable of an attack, is going to be pushing. One Magmadon trample for the side of Fiction is off, and this could be very bad. The guns get away. They are infested, but they get away. Shroudstone manifestation goes down, and there is a trample for the side of Fiction. It will chase off the guns, and it gets the kill on 2 of them, but that'll be it. As the trample ends, the stun dissipates, and it is now back to a straight up fight between big Magmadons and the guns. The third is lost, and the Shroudstone Tower is heavily unprotected. It will go down in due time. But if that Magmadon stays alive, it could be very dangerous as, again, Fiction pushing forward with his Magmadons into the fray. Gets the kill on 4, make it 5 Gauns. And he will have destroyed TheoRy's attack at this moment. But behind this, TheoRy has been expanding. Both players are now up to 1, 2, 3, 4 bases. But it seems like TheoRy is the one thinking about the middle base a little bit more. He's trying to prepare for what it might take to not only take it, but also defend this location with Magmadons, with Gauns. We've seen in the past, as a big drop comes down here, with Magmadons stomping down, they get the kill on a couple of imps. Not enough to dissuade TheoRy from continuing on with his expansionary agenda, but it is enough to cause damage, and another one for the Magmadons comes down. They're just being annoying big bastards on the back of TheoRy. But TheoRy is going to take that middle base, and Fiction will notice right away that this is what's happening, and will decide to engage it. He has to engage it. Losing is a matter of economy in this map, and so he has to be able to maintain an economic equality or advantage at all possible, and that's exactly the same thing that TheoRy is trying to do. Hellborns out on the map for both players now. Great way to chip away at the Gauns over time. They don't have a lot of health with 100 health total if they are fully healed up from the white health. And this attack deals 50 damage each. Two-shotting a Gaunt is a particularly nasty event, and you have to remember that there is a shotgun pattern to their hits. They will hit things behind the initial shot. So even if you're firing at, say, a Magmadon that has a good chunk of health, the shotgun effect still reaches back, and he's able to deal damage to the guns behind them. There is a trample going down for TheoRy. Now the Hellborns target fire the guns, almost killing them. The Infest goes down, and will try to get those on the 10% damage deal over time, but TheoRy pulls back and now has to engage with partial forces. Trample even more for the side of Fiction as he's trying to push down into this middle base and deny it altogether. But it is going to be very much a siege here, with the Hellborns from a distance doing their best to keep away the Gauns and keep the Magmadons in check. TheoRy expanding, getting more and more bases. As we see up here, he's going to be looking to get the upper base, and it would not surprise me, as you can see, that he's going to want to get the other one. The middle base might be one of the richest one, and it is in a nice position for setting up your army to an engagement later, but it is also incredibly exposed, and you have to constantly defend it from attack. Even more meat farms and Shoutstone towers coming down now, as Fiction looks to maybe create a new engagement. But the skirmish between the Hellborns is starting. Firing away between these two players. 5 Hellborns is a massive amount of Hellborns that can absolutely get rid of a Gaunt ball very, very quickly. The thing is, does Fiction have enough time to make it happen? Hellborns push forward a little bit more. A lone Gaunt will be killed. And it seems like TheoRy's idea is to keep a Gaunt in forward, bait the shots from his opponents, and then try to counter shot with his own Hellborns. But you can see the amount of damage that these guys are doing, even going for the vision. But with the Hellborns firing away, a valley of death, a no man's land is beginning to take shape. Shrouds of Manifestation goes down here for the side of TheoRy to try and keep pushing this area of the map. And Magmadon's now exchanging trembles. As you can see, it is a volley of fire and death raining from above on both sides. Play Dragon now on the side of Fiction, and it would not surprise me if TheoRy has one of its own, or is at least banking up the resources for one. But what is far more threatening for Fiction right now is the fact that TheoRy is up 2 bases over him. This is clearly a dangerous engagement that could be very bad for Fiction if they don't quite realize what is going on. An attack on the 4th base now, hidden away but now wide open as the army of Fiction has to reposition. Great opportunity for TheoRy to try and squish a big fight here, but he will not. He'll just engage with the Magmadons, deal damage, try to keep him busy. And a Flight Dragon has come out for the side of TheoRy. The Vision Camp is no longer active. Indeed, TheoRy has way more income than Fiction. Fiction has already mined out his main base. It is likely mining out his second in just a moment, but the same could be said for TheoRy. Look at the amount of Shadow Flyers now that are in production. Whatever engagement happens next, it'll be the engagement that wins it, I believe. As there is now a big push with the imps. They'll probably inflame and go up into the expansion. As TheoRy continues his core strategy of just denying bases and pushing forward. Shadow Flyers advance, and there is an engagement between the Flight Dragons. A big fight coming on with a bunch of fiends going to the side of TheoRy. They have broken through the lines. Shadow Manifestation is going to keep the flank stable, as now the Hellborns are being chased off, and this is one of those things where Fiction is probably not going to be able to regain the same army at the same pace that TheoRy will be able to with all of the bases that he has. Breaking through then on the middle of the base, engaging with a few more Infest and Shadow Flyers. The Flight Dragon is trying his best, but it'll be defeated, and Fiction GG's and taps out of game number 1, giving TheoRy his first point in the best of 3 series. And we'll go ahead and see what the next match brings us. TheoRy is a very strong player indeed. We'll go ahead and add the next match here in a second. Indeed. And if that happens, that'll happen in the finals. So we'll have to see how that goes. We're going to be going to Broken Crown next. Fiction has chosen to go to Broken Crown. We'll be jumping on the lobby in just a moment. There we go. Thank you everybody for the follows. By the way, I see that Jaded has followed. J. James, I see you in the chat as well. Thank you for the follow. Damagron, thank you for the follow. And Michael, thank you for the follow. I usually don't call out the follows while I'm casting. Just I know you can take out people from the experience of casting, so I try to avoid it. But thank you, everybody. Thank you, Tukadai. I know you were playing earlier on the bracket. I know that unfortunately you didn't get too many wins, but thank you for playing all 5 rounds. Much appreciated, my friend. As we're getting ready to see the second game here, which, if the math tracks, it should be going the way of TheoRy. But of course, TheoRy is playing it somewhat safe. He's not trying to go for a killing blow immediately. He is much more interested in expanding and overwhelming their opponents. So, welcome everyone to game number 2 between TheoRy and Fiction. And our players have, of course, switched sides. So let me fix that real quick on the overlay. There we go. And the score. That'll do it. So we have on the bottom left, on the blue, it is Fiction. This is a game that he has to win to continue on the bracket, and his opponent is, of course, the Alpha Navigators Cup Season 0 champion, reigning champion, TheoRy. As they start out here on Broken Crown. It is very interesting. I was talking about this during the EMEA bracket. Players are starting to choose other maps outside of Broken Crown. And I wonder if this will be a map that either TheoRy will absolutely dominate on, because he feels like he has the solution to all of the problems that you can have after the Doombringer drops. If you're not able to do great Doombringer drops, how do you transition out of it? Or perhaps this will be a map that will prove a little bit more complicated for TheoRy. We'll have to see if Fiction has the formula that he needs to succeed here. At least from the get-go, it looks as if Fiction is using a more traditional type of opening, going with a Brute and a Gaunt to clean up the speed camp. TheoRy is barely gonna get the kill on both. A very good kill to start things out, but now he has to be mindful of the fiends that are gonna be running through, getting in the middle of this base. You obviously do not want to see that. They will come for the Gaunt, and they'll probably kill it. Oh, they don't scout it. A second Gaunt gets in this place, and now there is an opportunity for Fiction to even things out. Goes down one of the Gaunts. A Fiend is out on the field now as well, and will secure a second Fiend for the fight. And this will be enough. This is a pure game of mathematics, folks. That was a chess level tactics that you needed to think about, to be able to vision, to be able to have the foresight that you can get 2 Fiends from a speed camp in the time that it takes your opponent to chase you to your speed camp while you're doing this. That is a well-practiced strategy, if there ever was one. And now, of course, both players are going to be cleaning up everything else that is out there in the map. It does look like TheoRy moved away, at least for this match, moved away from the concept of throwing a Shroudstone Tower in the middle of the map to keep the resource camps there safe. And is instead opting for what I would imagine is a more traditional approach of going for the camps early and then seeing what you can see. Fiction turns the tides of battles again to the other side. We'll be looking to deny the vision for TheoRy. He still has, as well, his own resource camp. So I think overall, Fiction ended up getting maybe 1 or 2 more resources, like 25, 50 more Luminite than his opponent, TheoRy, over this engagement. Or maybe not, because no, the speed camps have been full cleared. Yeah. It's just that the north one has not been taken as of yet. And that is maybe something that Fiction should try to do. You have an extra Fiend, why not go grab the orb and reset the timer early? Otherwise you're gonna have trouble getting that speed camp later if you want to. as we approach the 5-minute mark, we're getting now a Doombringer, and this was very interesting. We just got the end of it, but TheoRy was target focusing the Fellhogs from the meat farm. That usually gives you an extra 0.75 animus when they are inside the shroud. So he was trying to maximize as much animus as possible right as Shroudstone goes down here. That will not deny this aggression. It might actually get the cancel one of the Shroudstones, which is very, very powerful. Maybe a kill on 1 or 2 imps. And Fiction is not fighting this. He's letting this go. The expansion is being attacked and now has to respond to it. He has a drop for himself, but it doesn't deal as much damage as the damage that TheoRy seems to have done. But there is another drop coming now onto the main base. Both are protected by a Shroudstone tower, so again, not a lot of damage that could be coming in here. The drop and the Shroudstone manifestation will clean that up. On the other side, TheoRy now can split his attention. He's thinking about it. Oh, and a Shroudstone manifestation goes down to target focus. Little Doombringer, but it won't be able to get the kill on it. Both players floating their Doombringers over the map, trying to find a little cubby space somewhere that they could land and get good value from. Getting the kill on the imp is not perfect, but it's certainly something. Now the Fellhogs to create a couple of fiends, and they'll end up jumping into the Doombringer as well. And now it's a Doombringer versus Doombringer matchup with a few guns missing the point and not shooting down. A recall will be called into the expansion. Get the units healed up, get the Magmadon in, and it is time to go at it again. Now it is very close to the resource camp and the vision camp returning into the stage. Who will win that rotation of units? We'll see in a moment, but both players once again, Doombringer drops, 7-minute mark. We all know it, we all love it. Well, maybe we don't all love it, but it is a strategy that will happen now and will happen in the future as well. Magmadon drop, doesn't have stun, but it doesn't matter. He gets the kill on one of the Gaunts and then the Brute as well, before having to be picked up. On the other side of the table, it seems like Fiction pulled back on his own drop. He didn't want to do a lot with it. Where is... Here is TheoRy's drop again. Now there is a stun to go for. The Doombringer is so low on health. It dies to a Shroudstone Tower shot before the Magmadon could get away. But TheoRy is feeling quite well. He has another engagement going here with the Brute and a couple of Fiends. Oh, but the Fiends will get a good surround, thankfully. TheoRy is aware of it and protects it. And now another drop. With a lot more guns happening here. For the side of Fiction, there are a bunch of Fellhogs, and a Shroudstone manifestation goes down to keep denying it. But both players just trading blows, one over the other. Another drop here onto the Therium. It will get a number of imps. And the Fiends will be an annoyance. A recall happening now for a third, I believe. Or maybe the expansion. And the expansion. And now recharging again, this time probably with Magmadons. And getting ready to take out a main mineral line. All resource camps and vision camps have been renewed. So an opportunity to get more resources before another major engagement. TheoRy is picking apart one of them and spots the Doombringer. This could be really bad. There comes the Magmadon with the trample. No stun on them, but it is a pretty good drop. It gets 4, maybe 5 of the guns that were there. Make it 6, I believe. But TheoRy is good enough. He'll pick up 3 of them to keep safe inside the Doombringer. Some Magmadon and the rest make their way through. There is an opportunity here to try and gain full map control. He won that initial small engagement, and now he can take the resource camps that are around. Potentially the vision camps as well, giving him control over his opponent's expansion, as at this point both players are on 3 bases, and actually Fiction is going up to a 4th. Item Vault will go down. And now the Magmadon stomping through for TheoRy. It gets a good amount of gaunts on it, but not enough to fully justify the drop. The Item Vault is out, and a good number of Fiends will come out and be annoying, but that's about the extent of it. And now TheoRy pulls back, perhaps to go for the resource camps once again, keep getting more and more resources, expanding onto his 4th 2. And now both players have to start thinking about Hellborns. It's high time for the Hellborns to come out into the map. It might be a repeat of Secluded Grove, in which we saw TheoRy take the map control, make the most of it, and then keep pushing forward. Shadowstone Tower will go down. And with Hellborns active and the competition continuing, we'll have to wait and see what we can gather here. And again, TheoRy pushing forward, continuing to expand after every single fight and making sure that his opponent is on at least 1 fewer base than his. This could be a big Magmadon stomp for TheoRy. Indeed, it gets 4 of the Gons. Gets a Magmadon into the natural to start stunning the imps. They are all infested. And off go the Fiends. Very big fight here for TheoRy. The Hellborns are going to clean up a lot of the army from TheoRy that was going through the low ground, and a Sharsa manifestation will seal the deal on that fight. But the disruption on the expansion, on the natural expansion, is definitely powerful, as it denies more and more resources. And now Fiction is well aware of the expansion. His Hellborn units are starting to shoot here. And a Sharsa manifestation to try and deal with this, but I don't know how successful it'll be. The Sharsa will stay up, however, because the Magmadons have started stomping, and they are sandwiching those Gons, getting all of them stunned. And TheoRy is probably feeling quite well about it. He's keeping his base. He dwindled the numbers for his opponent. And now Fiction has to pull back. No other way about it. Another Magmadon stomp to go forward and then back. And then on the map, Fiction is trying to look for those TheoRy expansions, but I don't believe that he has a way to deny any of them. There is an imp there, and TheoRy is checking effectively the 5th base, and he sees that there is nothing there. He'll be able to drop onto the 4th, and it is going to be a massive drop that happens here. The Magmadon, the Gons, will create a bunch of Fiends. And now they can safely move away. Oh, the Magmadon didn't get picked up. It will die fighting here in the Luminite line. And another good distraction for the side of TheoRy, as a Flay Dragon is now out on the field for Fiction. Oh, it is a good engagement here. It pulls the resource camp, but now the resource camp is attacking quite fiercely. And a level 3 resource camp is quite a target, so you should be careful about it. And TheoRy continually expanding. Every 2 minutes, maybe even every 3 minutes, TheoRy is deciding to go for an expansion to keep his economy engine going. Both players still have a few resources on their naturals, on their first bases, I mean. And they could stay there for a little while. They're not fully mining them, so that's an advantage for them. Both armies onto the field. They are gonna be meeting in the center. If they do, could be a big fight. TheoRy decides to engage the resource camps. Right as the Flay Dragon goes through, Flay Dragon heals itself up, and maybe Fiction is thinking about engaging this, but I'm not so sure. A good number of fiends have been made, and want to check again this expansion. TheoRy believes that his opponent is expanding just as much as him, but that is simply not true. A massive number of conclaves now. TheoRy is about to put in the entire game on overdrive and push forward with just enough production to absolutely tear his opponent apart. He has an economic advantage with extra bases. He has scouted the entirety of his opponent's base, and he can even see that there's nobody mining here. The base is here, but there are no miners. And look at the amount of fiends now that are making their way through. Again, checking and checking. Big engagement now on the high ground here. Magmadon stomps going around. The trample is huge and the Flay Dragon is doing its best. But it seems like TheoRy has this game in a chokehold. Shadow Flyers now threatening the Flay Dragon. The few Magmadons that Fiction had left are now gone. It is just onto the Hellborns to try and keep this fight alive, but it won't be. A Flay Dragon on the field as well for TheoRy. Now to infest and push forward. Shadow Flyers are catching up though. They do get a couple of good hits in, but that'll be it. Again, TheoRy with the overwhelming macro advantage, taking as many bases as possible and denying his opponent theirs. Flay Dragon fight will end with TheoRy winning, and with this expansion lost, the main completely mined out, the imps just waiting around, and the natural looking on a similar fate. I think TheoRy has everything he needs to win this with one big push into his opponent's base. There might be just enough anima to produce another Flay Dragon for the side of Fiction, but I don't think it could be enough to overcome this fight. Shouts to Manifestation goes down. The push is absolutely brutal. Fiction trying to hold on to dear life. Gets a trample off into the fiends and GG's out.